one of my best friends had gotten a job as a door girl at the Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa Beach. And she like came by my house with her shirt on. She's like, I'm working at the Comedy and Magic Club. And I was like, can you get me a job? And so I went and interviewed there, and I started off as a food runner, actually, just in the club. And I started as a food runner because I was underage, and you couldn't work the door or serve drinks until you were 21 there. And then when I turned 21, I started waitressing a bit and working the door and just kind of doing a little bit of everything at the club that there was. And so my GM, Rebecca, was she was really kind of like breeding me for a management role, and I didn't even really understand that. I was so young. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good.
This is how the show starts. Yeah. I was just like crack right into it, like people are tuning into a phone call. This is
Oh
different.
yeah.
This is different for us because the last time that we were chatting, it was just like all business,
Yeah.
analytics and all that kind of crap. So
All
thank
the
you so
fun stuff.
much. Yeah, but thank you so much for wanting to like just be a guest on the podcast.
No, I appreciate you asking me.
Yeah. I love like learning more from people that work so much behind the scenes in a lot of the things that I'm like an avid listener of. So Bonfire, Legion of Skanks, that sort of stuff. So I'm really curious to like pick your brain about what you've noticed change over the years and like how like I don't know, just like how did you get into like comedy, I guess in general? Like how did you find yourself in that world?
I actually started, I was a hairdresser when I was like 19 years old, 20 years old. And I wanted to go back to school, and the salon wanted me full time. They didn't want somebody that was also a student.
Hmm.
And my one of my best friends had gotten a job as a door girl at the Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa Beach. And she like came by my house with her shirt on. She's like, I'm working at the Comedy and Magic Club. And I was like, can you get me a job? And so I went and interviewed there, and I started off as a food runner, actually, just in the club. And I started as a food runner because I was underage, and you couldn't work the door or serve drinks until
Mm.
you were 21 there.
Yeah.
And then when I turned 21, I started waitressing a bit and working the door and just kind of doing a little bit of everything at the club that there was. And so my GM, Rebecca, was she was really kind of like breeding me for a management role, and I didn't even really understand that.
Wow.
I was so young. And
Did
so
she
that was
say
like
what she saw in you in that regard? Like that she wanted to pick you to do that?
she told me like when I was leaving, um, and I was never, it wasn't like I was, going to be a manager there because this was back in my hometown in Hermosa Beach.
Mm.
And I was moving to New York when I was 23. And I
Ah.
remember like, one of our emotional goodbyes in the office. I remember her going like, I depend on you out there. And I just like I really I worked so many jobs before that, and like I would just quit when I got over it. I started working when I was 14, so
Mm.
there weren't really high stakes. I wasn't paying my rent. It was nothing like that. It was all just spending money. So,
Yeah, yeah.
like I quit Papa John's because I wanted New Year's Eve off and they wouldn't give it to me. So I was just like, well, I'm not going in.
I love that is like my favorite part though of having a job. Like I think anyone young that has like a job like that where there's no real stakes, do those moments because you'll never really get to do that again. Like in my adult life, I've only had a few times where I'm like, no, fuck you. Like, I'm gonna quit. And like, yeah, I have no backup plan and I don't know how I'm gonna make my rent money this month, but I'll figure it out. Like, I'd rather figure it out than deal with whatever this shit is. But I remember I was working at like an American Eagle and they like wouldn't let me go home for Christmas. And I was like, this might be my grandfather's like last Christmas. Fuck you. I'm going home. I'm not working Boxing Day. And
Yeah.
I came up to my manager and I had my resignation letter, which said effective immediately on it, like in my back pocket. And I was like, so did we figure out Boxing Day? Like, is someone going to cover me? And she goes, no, you have to work. And I was like, well, then this is for you. And then I just walked straight out. And she was like, don't ever use this on your resume again. I was like, wasn't planning on it. I don't want a
Yeah.
career in clothing. Like, what the fuck?
You're
I'm
like,
like,
bye.
what an entitled ass thing to say. Like, yeah, yeah, no, you owe us your time. It's like, fuck off.
That reminded me, I quit my first job back in 2000 because they wouldn't give me the time off to go. I wanted to go to New York for the first time with my family. And I
Mm,
was like, well, then I'm done. Like I'm going to
yeah,
New
yeah.
York.
You're like, I can find another job. It's totally okay.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
funny
like,
though
I
how
live
all
at
those
home.
things lead us to like where we are now, you know?
Yeah.
It's
But
like,
the
but yeah, sorry, go ahead with the,
Oh no, I was gonna say the comedy club, I just I immediately like really gave a shit. I like
mm,
really cared about what was going on there. You know, it was different from anything I'd ever done before. There's like the entertainment, like the live shows every night, like getting to meet all those comedians. It was just like I would the kitchen would close at 9, which was like, the headliners would generally go to like 9:30, 9:45. So the
mhm.
kitchen would close and I would go and sit in the back and like watch the headliners every night. And I just thought it was so cool. So I also just like really wanted to do a good job because I loved being there so much. So it made
Yeah,
like the menial. And I also like, I never minded waitressing. I like waitressing. I think it's, a lot more fun than other jobs that I've done.
yeah, yeah. No, no, for sure. And I think you end up learning a lot of skills that in the moment you don't necessarily realize is teaching you, you know? And I think
Hmm.
like I've said this a bunch of times on this podcast, but I think it should be mandatory for like everyone to work like at least a week in the service industry, just so that you have that respect when you go into places like restaurants, because there can be such like a royal feeling that the customers have like over these. I mean, we literally call them servers. Like it's in the name, you know what I mean? Like you're a servant to me for
I know.
the
I'm like, why
hour.
is
And I'm
that better than waitress, waiter?
yeah, yeah,
Like, I don't
yeah.
know how that's a
I'm like,
better term.
I think waiter or waitress is much better than servant or whatever the fuck. But yeah, I'm like everyone should have that a little bit of experience. Did you think though when you started in a comedy club that you would now be like putting together? I mean, I know it's you, Rebecca, and Lewis doing Skankfest, but like, could you have seen that kind of jump from like being a food runner at Comedy Magic Club to now you're like helping put together one of the larger comedy festivals in the world right now?
No, I really didn't see it because it wasn't, to me, it was just like a job while I was in school. It wasn't necessarily something that I thought was going to be my career path.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not what I moved to New York to do. Like, I moved to New York to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And I just very quickly realized how much I missed stand-up comedy and how much I wanted to be
Mm-hmm.
around it and how much I just like craved, I mean, it's rare that you have a job where like if you're in a bad mood and you go to work, like you come out in a better mood. And
Yeah, I
and that
never
was
even thought of
really
it that way.
it was really and I also we weren't really like encouraged to hang out with comics. Like it was really discouraged. But the
Oh,
staff was very close knit at that club. Like we were all best friends, and the club was dark on Mondays, so we would all like hang out on Mondays together. We had our Monday Fun Day gang,
yeah, it was like your
and
industry night.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
just like it didn't really. I didn't know that that was going to be my career. I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. I was like acting in college and plays, and I wanted to go to school. I applied to Emerson College for broadcast journalism and School of Visual Media Arts. I didn't get in. That was like wildly discouraging. And I was going to actually come to New York and establish residency to finish my degree because I just spent 4 years at a community college. So I graduated with like 130 units at a community college, which it's like 120 units to get a BA, but I just
Yeah,
kind of kept fucking around and taking the classes I
yeah.
wanted to take. So
Nice.
it was fun, but I just got here and I was like, a lot of it was like I was like, I'll be able to get a waitressing job. Like I'll be able to make
Hmm.
money and I'll be able to figure it out. And it took me like once I realized I wanted to work in a comedy club, I called the booker, Richard from Comedy Magic Club, and asked him for like any help out here, any guidance he could give me to get a job at a club. But I couldn't get hired out here for like it took
Oh,
me I moved out here in 2008, and it wasn't until 2009 that I got my first job at Comics Comedy Club, which is now closed. So I was like at California Pizza Kitchen and Dos Caminos and Children International trying to sell sponsorships on the street for a minute.
Were you at Dos Caminos the same time as Dan?
Yep, that's how we met. So me
Oh,
and
no way.
Dan,
That's
yeah.
hilarious.
So me and Dan actually met, waiting tables at a Mexican restaurant like before I got my first job in comedy in New York. But I had worked at the
Ah,
club and he had just done Live at Gotham. And there was another waiter there who was training me. And we just started talking about comedy. He was like, you have to meet Dan Soder. So yeah, I remember I like went and watched him down at Eastville Comedy Club back in like 2009, probably. And so it was so fun that we ended up working together so closely for all those
yeah.
years.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
funny how that works, right? How you like then would come back and now it's like the Bonfire that you did for so many years with them.
Yeah,
That
it's
that has to
wild.
be so wild. Like you guys are so used to going into the restaurant and dealing with those rushes and like going out for smoke breaks, and then now it's like you're walking into Sirius XM to like record a show. That's so crazy to me. Like
I
I love reflecting on stuff like that.
I asked him, I was like, do you ever still like walk into work and expect to get fed? And he's like, no. But he was also the first like performer or comedian. I always met comics as like they were performing. He was the
Hmm.
first comic that I really met just like in the day job world. And so it was also like just a different perspective of like somebody. I was like, you just did television and you're waiting tables, like it
Hmm.
was it was kind of like a blast of reality almost, like getting to know him that way.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, because you really get to then see like, oh, everyone that's on TV isn't also like super successful just because they were in the box. It's like just
Yeah.
not that is a blast of reality for like entertainers. I can't remember. I something happened to me the same thing where I remember like seeing someone serving somewhere that I had just like saw on TV. It happened to me. Like I did I was lucky enough to get hired by this like YouTube studio that had like a bunch of really viral like top 10 channels. And I was just the host. So they had sort of like rotating hosts. They had us as like contractors. So you wouldn't really be like in the video long enough that people would get to know you and look forward to seeing you, right? And they're
Mhm.
mostly there for like the content, top 10 whatever Spider-Man suits, whatever I was talking about, nerdy shit. But like some of these videos got like millions of views, and then I was like serving one day, and this guy just kept like staring at me and staring at me. He goes, do you know like about comic book stuff? And I was like, a little bit. And he goes, are you on YouTube? I was like, yeah, I also do that. He goes, like his mind was like
Yeah.
so blown because he was like, I just saw this guy with like on a video with like millions of views. Like, why is he here? And I was just had to, I'm like, this is just how it works, man. Like this doesn't it doesn't equal dollars like we all hope it would.
Yeah, and in New York particularly, there are a lot of people, there are career service industry people out here,
Yeah.
and some of them it's like some of them just went into it, some of it it's a dead dream and they, got traction in that field. But so many people are like dancers or on Broadway or doing,
Yeah.
doing something out here. So it's fun. I worked with a guy, Sean. He was the bartender when I was a manager at Stand Up New York, and like he's like on a hit soap opera. I forget which one, but he's like a big soap opera
Like Young and the
star now.
Restless or one of those like
Yeah, one of those. I
wow.
it might be Young and the Restless, but yeah,
That's
he's like
hilarious.
he's really good looking guy, and we knew he was an actor, but he's been like an established soap star. He was like on the cover of like Soap Magazine, Soap Digest or whatever. I was like, oh my God, that's Sean.
So crazy to me.
So it's cool when you see things hit like that.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Someone like just being able to like move it to that next level where they're like, it's almost like, oh, you got out, man. Like,
I mean, Sal Volcano was from Practical Jokers, was the bartender at this bar in Staten Island that ran a comedy show. And so I know the
yeah,
comics,
yeah,
it was like, oh, I have this show coming out. It's a wildly successful hit.
yeah,
But it's
yeah.
so funny to think of like Sal being the bartender while there was like a comedy show going on.
I remember watching like Impractical Joke. Sal, I think, has had the best like transition among all those guys into like big if you're looking at like the Impractical Jokers, like like a boy band where like one person always goes off and kind of does their own thing. I feel like
Yeah.
Sal has been able to kind of maintain that the best, because for me, like I watched Impractical Jokers and I was like, oh, they're all funny or whatever, but um not necessarily like them having their own moments where I'm like, oh, this one is my favorite. I'm like, they're just like a collaborative. But I remember like I think Sal was on, maybe it was like on Ari's podcast or something, and he told this story about like getting these like pants, these like women's pants in the mail. And that like they just that wasn't even like his address, like it was the person's address
Yeah.
on it, but he just got these pants. And then he wrote like he had the like a hostage letter, like
The
he
ransom note.
yeah, like a ransom note, like he
Yeah.
cut letters out of a magazine and just like pasted it together. And I was like, oh, this guy's insane. Like this is shit I would do, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, that's a
So funny.
comic.
Yeah.
But like
And
because
he
he's putting himself out there, it's revealing these like vulnerable moments. That to me is like what helps push a true comedian, is they're willing to be vulnerable, that vulnerable.
yeah. I think that
That
was on Ari's on This Is Not Happening. And I think that may have
oh
been one of the
yeah,
first
yeah,
things that
yeah.
he did like solo.
Yeah.
And I mean, Sal's been doing stand up now for ages, so
Hmm.
it's but he was always such a fan of it, and he really like the other guys aren't really. I think Murr now is like doing some touring, and Joe, but like they're not necessarily stand ups. They were all like improv guys, but
Okay, that
Sal
makes
also
sense
really
then.
like dedicated himself to stand up outside of the collaborative.
Yeah, yeah, like
I love
continue
Sal.
doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great. Yeah, he's so great. When I asked you about the one word for the podcast, what came to mind for you?
Nervous.
Nervous? Okay,
It's so
okay.
funny you asked me to do this, and I said, I'm like, I've been kind of putting it off for so long. And part of it is, I mean, I think this is like the third podcast I've ever done.
No
And it's,
way.
yeah, because I did Ari's podcast, and then I did another podcast earlier in the pandemic, but I really like it's as much as I'm on air with Bonfire every day, it's just not really, I
Mhm.
don't really do things where like I'm like, I'm going to be completely uninteresting. Nobody's going to care.
It's so funny because I go through the same shit in my head. Like, I'm like, what am I gonna ask her? Is it gonna sound stupid? Because I did a podcast. I won't like reveal who it is, but if people know editing, they can go back through it and they can find like the moments. I asked this big guest, like who I was so nervous to interview, like if he had any memorable like moments throughout his career or whatever. And he just flat out was like too general of a question. Like he didn't want to answer it. I was
Oh
like,
my God.
so now I'm like, thank God I don't do this live. Like I just sort of like explained it a little more and made it like a little more specific and then got an answer out of him. And then I just edited that whole part out. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make him sound like a dick. Like but just the response like made me so nervous. I was like, damn, I gotta step up my game as an interviewer. Like too general of a question. Like,
What made me, it put me at ease a little bit when you were like, I'm going to ask you some questions. I was like, oh, good. I can answer questions.
but it's good that like I'm realizing that I need to talk to more people that are used to a podcast dynamic, because if you're only used to like interviews, there are some people like artists that I've interviewed on the podcast where they're used to like question, answer, question, answer, and they'll answer and then they'll wait. They'll wait for the
Yeah.
next question. And I'm like, fuck, I kind of just want like a dialogue. Like, I want you to interrupt me if you're getting like excited about something you want to talk about?
Yeah. We run into that like with Bonfire because Bonfire is such a hang show. And with
Hmm.
the comics, it's definitely like the comics know like they just come on, bullshit, have fun. But when we do get guests through Sirius, it is like a different dynamic where
Yeah.
it's like you really have to
You can see them
do
get so
more of an
nervous.
interview, and we're like, it's just not really like
Yeah, yeah.
that's why I
Oh,
love, like Ron Beddington, like
yeah, he's so
he's so
great.
brilliant at it. And it's something where I'm like, it's fun to I do like though when the guys, you know, do have a guest and they do interview because it does come out that I'm like, no, you guys got this. Like you can do this. We can have these, musicians and other celebrities on the show and like you'll be able
Yeah.
to get a good segment with them.
And the more you do it, the better you get at it. I think like you just like in terms of interviewing for like a show, like you just start to pick up on like you just have better instincts when you're asking questions, or like it's also for me, it's helping me like listen more too. Because I'm a terrible listener. I hear like bits and pieces and then I try to stitch it all together and I'm like, that's kind of what you said, right? Like, horrible, horrible, horrible listener. Who's been a guest like on the word nervous? Who's been a guest that's come into the bonfire that made you like genuinely nervous?
Hmm. Uh, oh God, it's so funny. I'm like totally blanking on that now. We had Cyndi Lauper come in, and that was nerve-wracking, and it was kind of a weird segment because Jay made like an off-color joke about.
It
She was like,
wasn't
"Oh,
even that bad.
I didn't like." She was like, she goes, "I would like DJ for my friends really, and like they were all high and they, would love it." She's like, "I didn't do any drugs," and then Jay made some like heroin joke, and she was just like, I mean, she completely shut down on it, and the interview was like so short.
Oh
And then like
man.
we had Gavin Rosdale on from Bush, and whenever we've had like Gary Clark Jr. and Marcus King on, who are great musicians, but they're also people
Yeah.
that we've like had conversations with off air,
Mm.
like at
Yeah.
shows or whatever. So it was a little different, but the ones that come to mind right away are those, the musicians where you're like, like, is this gonna go okay? Like Jay started asking Gavin Rosdale about Courtney Love, and you could tell that like he didn't really want to talk about that. He just
Yeah,
kept saying
yeah.
she was a great girl.
Oh.
We're like, give us the dirt on Love.
Yeah, yeah, because you want to make it interesting too, right? Like that's the hard part. And I'm realizing that in my episode, like the episodes I'm doing, there's certain people where I'm like, yeah, there's things like, for example, I had Mark Breslin on, and forever, because I do comedy in Canada, there, especially when I was in Toronto, everyone would always be like, "Oh, so and so is signed to Yuck Yuck, so they're gonna perform under like a different name at this club, so that Breslin doesn't know that they're like voiding their contract or whatever." So I just asked him flat out. I was like, is this true? Do you have like an exclusivity contract where you want to like monopolize the comedy scene in Canada? And I was like, oh, please don't hate me for asking that. But like, I would want to know that. Like, if I was listening to the episode, I'd be like, ask him the obvious questions. Like,
What did he
but
say?
he was like, well, yeah, I'm a business, like of course, like he's like it's half true. He's like, we're a little bit more lenient now, but like I want, if I'm billing you to like do the weekend at my club and tickets are $20 and you're performing down the street the day before for free, that's devaluing my show. That's being like, why would I go pay $20 to see him there when I could see him down the street for $5? He's like,
Hmm.
I have to look at it as a business, and the comedians are just like a product. I don't look at them as like their individual whatever. I look at them as products that I'm trying to sell that weekend or throughout the shoot. So I'm like, it's a very old like school mindset. And I even tried to tell them, I was like, look, I personally, if I want to do new material, I would feel like it's disrespectful to you to be doing it on a weekend show, especially if you're like, you can't perform anywhere else. It's like, well, how am I going to get better? How am I gonna
Yeah.
like try new shit? I'm not gonna do it on a Saturday at Yuck Yucks. That's crazy. People paying money.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they want to see a good show. They don't want to see you practicing.
Yeah.
And he was just like, well, we have lots of rooms, whatever. I was like, all right. I was like, sure,
Like you can do Yuck
sure.
Yucks on a Wednesday.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's like, yeah, once a week if I get on with the hundreds of other comics that also want to get on the show. It's like you practice once a month if that was the case. Like never
Yeah.
made any sense to me, but he seems to think it works for him. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
really I get bummed out. I feel like I haven't been in the clubs. I worked in the clubs from like 2005 to 2015 before I went like more full-time production.
Hmm.
I feel like it was kind of like that, but I feel like the comics were always like running from club to club. And now in New York, it seems like there is more of a territorial vibe. And I'm like, I
Hmm.
don't know. I feel like it just kind of messes with the New York scene as a whole. I feel like all the comics should kind of be performing at all the
Yeah.
clubs,
Yeah.
because it has
I
different stages, different audiences, different draws. And, just I do think that's like what makes New York such a gym is all these different rooms. Whereas if
mhm.
you're going up on the same stage all the time, I feel like that's just not as valuable as what I feel like the city used to be.
No, 100%. And I bet there's still comics that are trying to like go everywhere and do every mic, but I can definitely see because the same sort of thing started happening in Toronto with the open mic scene. When I was there, I live in Ottawa now, but when I was in Toronto, there was like different like cliques almost that would like this clique of comics would only hang out with these open mics and they would never go to that open mic. And then this
Yeah.
clique of comics would be like all this over here. And then there was like the odd person like myself that was just popping around to like all of them essentially, because exactly what you said, you want to experience the different like audiences. And even in Toronto, doing a show in like Liberty Village, where it's like richer, kind of hipstery people versus like Kensington Market, which is like a completely different area. And then like the east end of the city, completely different. Even though it's such a small city, they were such different areas because Toronto really like made like districts. Like this is Little Italy, this is Chinatown, this is like they really mixed it up nicely, and it created completely different audiences, which is like the best to learn in front of.
Yeah.
Lots
What
of
was that
weed
tour?
rooms too.
Yeah, with Clandestiny? Was that the
Oh yeah,
name
so
of
no,
it?
people always say that, and I think they had that as the first name, but it was like Puff Mama's Underground Cafe 420, I think is what she called it. She had to call it like cafe because it was like they were working in the gray zone, which is so stupid. Like, so when weed was illegal, we were able to smoke inside and like smoke as much weed as we wanted in that back room, and like it was the craziest time ever. Like looking back on it, I'm like, I can't believe I got to be there. Like I was there one night and Tripoli and Red Band came in, and like I'm just like, what the fuck is my life? I'm sitting in this booth smoking a joint in this like cool like back room, and then Red Band's passing me a joint. I'm like, this is the craziest place ever. And then there's a night where the Iron Sheik was on stage. I was like, what the fuck? And as soon as weed got legalized, there were people that were like celebrating it, and then there were the people who knew. And the people who knew were like upset because once you legalize something and the government has its hands on it, guess what? You're not allowed to smoke inside. That's a
Yeah.
bylaw. Like that now that applies to weed, where weed was just illegal, so why would you be smoking it at all? But
Yeah.
the cops were like, they didn't care about us because we weren't dealing drugs. We were just smoking inside. It's no different than
That
someone smoking inside of their house, right? Like
I feel like that ruined the Montreal Comedy Festival was
so
that
bad.
fucking patio was the best. The patio at the Hyatt was like the hang. It was where the party was.
Yeah.
And then they made smoking illegal. You couldn't smoke outside on the patio.
For
And
Montreal
I
too, that's
remember
crazy.
it was crazy. And I was asking them, I was like, well, how much is the fine? I was like, we'll
Yeah.
just pay the fine
Yeah,
and we'll
yeah, yeah.
smoke. And they're like,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't work like that. And we were like, okay. And it just changed to where like we just went and hung out in front on the street because we're
Uh-huh.
like, we're gonna smoke, you know? And it felt like it loosened up, but it was never, I don't know, the no smoking outside is such a bummer. I'm like, that just takes away. I'm like, you should be
Montreal
able to
too,
smoke.
that whole city smokes. Like
Yeah.
you go there
I'm like,
and
you're French.
everyone's smoking. Yeah, like how do you do that to yourselves? It's so crazy. Yeah, that festival, that's what I mean. Like I feel like Skankfest is now the big festival that JFL just went under.
I know.
Like,
I have such a uh Montreal's so special to me. I've been
yeah.
going to Montreal since 2011, and I really had some of my favorite shows I've produced were up at that festival at particularly at Cafe Cleopatra. I love
Mm,
the venue Cafe Cleopatra. It's like a strip club normally, but the festival takes it over and it's just one of my
so
favorite
so
rooms.
Montreal.
It's so fun. And yeah, so and like what we are, it's like obviously like I love my festival, but it is like it's a totally different beast, you know. It's like we're not doing like galas and these shows and
Sure, yeah.
it's not different venues. So, it kind of sucks that that's gone, but I just love that we get to keep doing our festival and that people keep wanting to come and that I'm always talk about nervous. It's like every year I'm like worried that we're going to like let people down or people are going to be saying like,
Hmm.
"Oh, it's not as good as it was here or it's not as good as it was in New York or it's not as good as it was, the first year in Vegas." And that doesn't seem to happen. It seems like people, keep coming and they keep having a good time and, I just hope that we can keep delivering it because it's I mean, I like come to life at that festival. Like I'm running around like a lunatic, but it's like the most fun I have. I just love it. I love that we get to do it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think like that's a good thing to sort of be always thinking of, like, from the customer point of view, like if I were coming to this festival, like how would I enjoy it, this year? I think that's the best for like someone who's planning those sort of things. Have you had, I mean, I'm sure as the festival's running, you're just like nonstop, like working, whatever, but have you had a moment during any of the past festivals where you had a second to sort of like sit back and look at what you've created and just go like, shit, like I was like a part of this. That's crazy. Like kind of like a holy shit moment.
I mean, that kind of comes, I guess, after, we had a moment today. This last year in Vegas was the smoothest the festival has ever run.
It's
I
great.
mean, to the point I was walking around with my set director, Brian, on Saturday, I think. And I was like, he's like, is this really going like this? And I'm like, is the world going to end? Because like, I'm like, when's the other shoe going to drop?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, yeah.
I was like waiting for something bad to happen because it was just running so smooth. And there was a moment that Sunday, where we were sitting, me and Rebecca like got there a little early and we were just sitting out and like we were just like relaxing,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
was very like rare to
Yeah, yeah.
like even
Like,
ahead of the
there's no
festival, but it was
fire to
like,
put out.
we have such an amazing team that we've built. Like obviously like Lewis and Rebecca are just the best partners, but we also have this team that's grown to 40 people. A lot of our showrunners, our showrunning staff works with Rebecca at the Creek and the Cave. A lot of our tech staff works at Gas Digital, or used to, like our technical director Omar, like way back when, used to produce Legion of Skanks before he moved to LA.
Ah.
So we have like this great hodgepodge, and then we have people that have come in that started as volunteers that we promoted to staff because they made themselves like so valuable and really brought so much to the table
Mm.
that we have people that we just work with really for the festival. And so having this team and also being able to like let go of some responsibility and give other people more responsibility and
Yeah, that's
all
the hard
that.
part, right? Like kind of taking your hands off the wheel for a little second and
Well,
just
it's
being
hard.
like, okay, you drive now.
Yeah, and if there's like a suggestion, it's like we should bring
Yeah,
somebody on to
yeah.
help with this. I'm like, why? You think I suck?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, you just can't do everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Literally, like thinking about, I cringe at the thought of like what Jeff Bezos must think in his head every day, just like running a $1 trillion company and just having to like trust that like a board of directors and like multiple CEOs of factories just do their job.
yeah.
Like you're like, ooh, this whole thing could collapse. Like if somebody just does one wrong thing.
And that's a big part of it too, is just kind of being able to divide and conquer and like give
Hmm.
people their responsibilities and have people that you can depend on to like carry out those responsibilities in, at the highest level. Because we really, and then also a big thing, whether it's, and we have great volunteers too. The volunteer team that comes in are unbelievable. They care so much, they put so much
Hmm.
into it. But the first thing I say to everybody is I'm like, we're producing a comedy festival. I was like, smiles across the board.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
that's
I don't
important.
care. I'm like, if somebody could come up to you, I'm like, if somebody comes up to you like screaming and panicked,
Hmm.
I'm like, it's our job to be like, whoa, like what possibly went so wrong? Like, how can I help you?
Yeah, yeah.
And so, and I have a really good team that's really good about that and really make sure to like keep the vibes. I'm like, we have to have positive vibe. And I say that to all my staffs at, comedy clubs too. I'm like,
Hmm.
we're slinging drinks and laughs here. Like, it's
Yeah.
not that serious.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. We're not saving the
we have to
world,
be able,
guys.
yeah. I have a text from Rebecca. It says like, call me 911. And in parentheses, she's like, not really. We're not transplanting hearts,
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's so funny to me when a workplace is like, this has to be done ASAP. You're like, does it though?
Yeah,
Do
you're like,
I do we have to do it ASAP? Like, or do you think it has to be done ASAP?
And for me, the my time at the festival, because I unfortunately like I really don't get to see a lot of the shows. I try to hit
Mm.
every show. We have 100. Last year we had 134 shows going. I try to like hit every show once if
Yeah,
possible, at
yeah,
least like check the rooms. But I don't get to watch a lot of what's going on. I'll like watch it after the fact, like
yeah.
the recordings and all that. But the comedy jam, generally the Sunday night comedy jam is when I get to like be a fan. That's
Party,
like my show
nice.
to yeah, that's my show to just like hang out with Jay and like, be his girlfriend for 5 minutes and,
Yeah, yeah,
sing and dance and enjoy everything. So the jam's very special to me in that regard.
yeah. Now, do you do like, I know there's been filming of the event, like I'm sure throughout it to just post more about it, but this thought just like clued into my head, and I can delete this if you're gonna go for the idea, but um have you considered like, because as somebody who like let's say can't make it to Skankfest, you're working, you can't afford the tickets or the hotel or whatever, but you still want to experience or see it, why not sell it as like a pay-per-view on the website or whatever? Like on Skankfest, you can go pay like $30 to watch this year's Skankfest, and you can watch like each of the shows or each of the podcasts. I'm sure the podcast will air whatever, but to watch the shows, even just the stand-up shows or the fights or whatever, the parade even like could be the intro of it. And like I think that's a for like as a fan, that's something that would be like huge.
We've done starting with Skankfest South, so the last 3 years we've done live streams. So we
Oh,
generally do
okay.
4 live streams a day. So like Ellis Mania's live stream, the Jam's live stream, a couple like I think we did a live stream at last year or the year before we did Kill Tony and we did Legion of Skanks. All the podcasts are recorded and those all go out for like public consumption.
Hmm.
The stand up, it's something that, maybe this year we'll figure out because it's just really like the comics have to be okay with that. They have to be
True,
okay
it's a
with
lot of
like
sign off.
it's their material going out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now look, now within the age of like social media, like more stuff is going out and not like being saved necessarily for a special, or maybe something will go on social and it will also
Hmm.
reappear in a special. But that's something that we might want to do where we do actual like stand-up showcase live streams. It's just a matter of like getting the permission from the comics, making sure
Yeah.
that we can build a lineup that is comfortable with that. I think live streaming every show would be a
It's a
bit
lot.
much.
That's a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I just meant
Yeah.
sort of like a recap, like video of like all the, something
And
that
that's
you
some
could buy.
yeah, and so we have the and the live streams stay available as video on demand I believe for 10 days.
Okay,
So
cool.
people can like watch them and go through and see them after the fact. But yeah, we haven't done outside of that. So we do it's 12 shows that get live streamed and then
Oh,
all the
wow.
podcasts get recorded.
Yeah. So tons of content there then.
Yeah, and then we're doing more and more with social media, just like it, because we actually do like for archive purposes, we record everything. The
Mm.
only thing that we cut cameras on is the naked roast that
Yeah, of
goes
course.
completely dark. But we, just for archive purposes and like what we actually just got done with is we do we send the comics their sets. So we actually just
Oh, that's great.
it took a little longer this year. Like we're actually, next year we're going to streamline it more. So we're able to give the comics their sets. And then if the comics want to put them out on like their YouTube pages or their Instagrams or whatnot, like that's
Hmm.
great. We're like, awesome. Like take it and put it out. And the cameras are like, the sound comes from the soundboard and the cameras are high quality enough where it like looks presentable,
Yeah, yeah,
somebody
yeah.
could show it. So
Oh, that's
it's also
great.
a matter of like leaving it up to them.
Yeah, true. Whether or not they want to post it. Fair.
Yeah.
Now, Christine, there's another question that I always ask my guests, and I want you to think of yourself when you were 15 years old. Put yourself back to when you were 15 and think about who you were at that time, what you were doing, where you were. And then the phone rings and it's you now on the other end. And you can give her some advice based on what you know now. But either way, anything you say to her is not going to affect your current life now. But maybe you can send her on a different path, or you can just let her continue to where you are now. What do you say?
Stop doing drugs.
Listen to those Dare conferences.
Cut it out. Knock it
Drugs are
off.
bad. Okay.
Drugs are bad.
Nice.
15 was a rough time.
Yeah. I saw the flashbacks in your eyes as soon as I
I'm
said it.
like,
You're like, oh
oh,
fuck.
I'm like, you picked the worst
You're like,
year.
I probably wasn't home at the time.
Go back to school.
Yeah. It's so funny how we can just like look back at that time and be like, idiots. Like, what was I thinking?
Like, what was happening?
Yeah, I would have told myself to like just get into comedy earlier. I was just like way too into. I thought I was gonna be like a professional wrestler or something. I don't know where my
Really?
head was at. I loved wrestling. I thought it
I
was so
really,
cool.
I thought I was going to be when I was that age. That was my mom died when I was 15, so it was a
Oh
very
wow,
like emotional
hard
year for
year.
me.
Yeah.
But I really at that period in my life, like I wanted to be a stage actress. Like I was doing like plays and all that type of stuff. So that's really like where my head was. Like I
I
want to
just
be
think
on
of
Broadway. I want to do Neil
mm-hmm.
Simon plays on Broadway. And
Yeah,
yeah, I know. I'm
yeah,
like, I hate them, you know. I'm like, I'm like, why would you make me do this? I'm like, I
yeah.
obviously, I'm like, I'm a producer. Like I
Yeah,
didn't make
yeah,
it, you
yeah, yeah,
know?
yeah. You're like, there's a reason why I'm here, guys. I
Yeah.
didn't have the confidence to like continue that rejection path.
I'm like, I
Yeah.
never went on a professional audition once in my entire life.
Yeah. Being an actor is so tough. I remember trying to like go to auditions and shit while I was doing comedy in Toronto because that's what everyone told you to do. You gotta get a commercial. You gotta get into acting. I was like, I just want to do comedy. I don't want to do any of this shit. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm going to these auditions. I'm like, this is so dumb. One audition I had to like sing what's that, Hero by Enrique Iglesias to the,
Really?
yeah, it was for some beer commercial. I was like, I feel so stupid right now. Like there's no backtrack or anything. You just want me to sing Hero. I'm like, this is so weird.
Yeah, I don't think I like want to be an actress so much as like I just like acting classes.
Yeah,
Like they're so,
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like they're so encouraging and so lovey, and
They're
everybody's
so
like, "You
great.
did great."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like the perfect type of therapy too. It's like, oh, can I do a yelling scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, smash something. Like,
I'm
I
just
can
gonna
just
just do permanent scene study forever.
yeah, yeah.
Never go pro.
Yeah, you like they look at your resume, you have like 20 years of training. No work.
Yeah, no work, no
No
jobs.
work, no jobs. Just oh, I'm a permanent student actor. A
I did one
lifetime.
show. We did a benefit show called At the Top of Our Lungs, and it benefited the Vibe organization, which is it brings theater and arts to like young girls in like inner cities. It might not have those opportunities. So it was great. And it was a whole cast of girls. And we did that up at the Triad in like 2011. And so that was super fun. I was like, I did it. I'm like, you're welcome, 15-year-old me. But it was like, you know, it was just like a bunch of friends that kind of got together. And the audience was mainly like friends of friends that bought tickets for the
Yeah.
charity, you
So
know?
very much like you did great. It's all
Yeah.
good.
But that was
Yeah,
my one
yeah. Yeah,
my
for
one.
sure. Christine, I'm gonna share your social here for people watching on YouTube. It's Christine M. Evans on Instagram. Go to skankfest.com to check out those live streams. Maybe go be a volunteer and you can become permanent staff. The Bonfire also is on Sirius XM with Big J Okerson and Robert Kelly every Monday through Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, only on Sirius XM's Faction Talk channel 103. Anything else that you want people to check out?
We actually do release, I think that that might be we release the Bonfire now as a podcast. It's not the
Oh,
full
okay, great.
show, but it's
Yes.
about usually like 45 minutes to an hour of the show daily, Tuesday through Friday on all platforms. So wherever you
Okay.
listen to podcasts. And we have which finally maybe we could have another discussion. We finally have an up and running YouTube page. It's
Nice.
youtube.com/at the bonfire radio. And for Skankfest, tickets go on sale on Saturday, April 20th. So if
Okay.
anybody's looking for Skankfest badges, they will go on sale then.
Okay. I think this might just because I backlog a lot of these episodes. Like I'll just because I missed a couple weeks when I first started and I was like, I'm never gonna let that happen again. So now I just bank episodes. So this might actually come out like early May. So who knows? Maybe Skankfest is already sold out. Probably will be sold out by the time
God
you watch
willing.
this.
God willing, it's already sold out.
Sold out Skankfest, but still check that link just in case.
Yeah, you will be able to go there for the live streams.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that I got to be your third pod. You said your third podcast?
Yes, my third
Nice,
podcast. Thank you so
third
much for
podcast.
asking me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for making the time and getting the nerves to do it. Have a great rest of your day, Christine.
You too.
All right, later.
You've been listening to The Johnny Rogers Show. New episodes air every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.